Hey, Robby, here's my question this week. Do you have any millennials out there that can actually do a week's worth of work without complaining?
I really, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start.
Well, we're going to figure it out.
There's so many condescending answers I want to give. Let's start.
This is Counter Mentors with Kelly and Robby Riggs. Finally, a place where you can get both perspectives on challenges in the workplace from a boomer and a millennial. The Counter Mentor is the new leader. Join us as we show you how to blend the very best of both generations, young and old. This is Counter Mentors, and here are your hosts, Kelly and Robby Riggs.
Hey, I'm Boston Rob, and that's the Pops. This is Counter Mentors. This is the show where we tell my millennial friends to get real and those boomers to just get a clue.
Yeah, we know. They're generalizations, but they're generalizations for a reason because they're generally true. And hey, every generation needs help. We have just decided to appoint ourselves as the help.
Well, he's the help. I'm the one who leads the help. If you want to know more about us, check out our website, countermentors.com. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and of course, check out our YouTube channel. Probably most of that didn't make sense to you. Ask someone under 30 and they'll explain what it is. As always, you can download the podcast on iTunes and take us wherever you go.
Well, luckily for me, we have to put our video on YouTube, so I do know what that is, I think. Is that with a Y or with a U?
This is terrible. Hey, welcome to show number 18. We're going to jump into the 3 habits that you old people that our boomers do that drive millennials crazy. We want to get into this. We know there's a ton of you watching this show that either you have millennials that are driving you crazy, you're looking for answers, or you're a rock star millennial that's trying to better yourself, and you just get your amen, just get them ready.
Wait, rock star millennial.
Going at them like crazy.
In terms, I'm just rock star millennial. That's kind of an oxymoron thing. Is that what that is?
Now, habit number 1 is not clueless, but it should be, because clearly, old guy in the hat on the other side of the screen there.
Well, hey, when you don't have any hair, son, you got to kind of keep it warm up there. You know,
it's hiding.
Recent sweaters, right?
I was going to say recent. We got some recent feedback on Twitter that we were too attractive. It was distracting.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just.
You're looking like quite the professor. Oh, well, wait, you are.
I am. This isn't my elbow patches sweater. I'll wear that one. And we're excited you're here as always on this show. We get into some really good stuff. Then at the end, we're going to give you really, really practical takeaways. And Pops, you boomers are driving me crazy. And I've been trying to figure out how to communicate it and make it consumable. You know, you love to get on your soapbox and preach about entitled snowflakes and trophies and all that. Right. So I don't have any cheese ball, eye roll platitudes for you. I have real things that you guys do that drive me freaking crazy.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good. All right, roll it.
Now, the sad thing is you're going to agree with all of these because you know you have a problem. Number 1, it drives us nuts, and I don't understand it. And I want to get into the weeds a little bit on this, Pops.
Okay.
Number 1 is micromanaging. I can't handle it.
Hang on.
I can't do it.
What does that mean? Micromanagement. What is that?
Yes.
Hey, you need to adjust your camera. You're kind of off on the side there. And by the way, put your chin up when you're talking, son. Come on, present your best side. All right, back to the show.
So, Exhibit A, micromanaging. Yeah,
what?
Micromanaging. You know,
it's a problem.
The quick history lesson. We're going to go down history lane. That's an old map. I know a lot about history. I am a professor, so I know these things. Frederick Winslow Taylor, who's often been called the godfather of management. He wrote a book called The Principles of Scientific Management. It was published in 1911. Really wrote it through the first decade of the 20th century. He created these what we would call management techniques, and at the time that he created them, it was very intentional because there was very much a 2-part system. There was the workman, the uneducated, very low skilled in terms of skills and knowledge, and then the leader, what they called the manager at the time, right, the supervisor. So in this system, this idea of micromanaging, creating these detailed processes to get the most out of people, right? That was what they did because they were trying to be as efficient as possible. But Pops, It's 2017. Why do you still do it?
Because it works. People, you need people to do the same thing over and over. You need repetitive results. So you train up these workers and you get them to do these things. And, you watch over them and make sure they don't screw it up. Why can't you people just do your work and quit complaining? Oh, we need an extra 30 minutes. And
make sure you don't screw it up. Wow. Yeah. What a great, I don't mean to completely steal from my man, Simon Sinek, who I love, by the way, as you know, big Simon Sinek.
Yeah, you got kind of a bromance going there.
He and I are boys. He just doesn't know it. So I recently saw Sinek. This is right in line with this, Pop. So bear with me. I'm going to tell a quick story. I recently saw Sinek at a conference, and he told this story. He said, I recently stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel in Las Vegas. And the Four Seasons Hotel in Las Vegas is a beautiful hotel, not because of the pretty artwork or the comfortable beds. Anyone can buy pretty artwork and have comfortable beds. It's a great hotel because when you walk by the staff, they say hello to you, and they actually seem like they want to say hello to you, right? Okay. He goes on in the story, and he says he met a guy named Noah working at the coffee bar. And he says Noah was fascinating. He was engaging. He was witty. He was engaging. He said, I think I actually
been a boomer.
It was a millennial. Thank you very much. He said, I actually think I give him a 100% tip. And because I do what I do, I asked Noah, do you like your job? And he said, Mr. Sinek, I love my job. And he said, Noah, I have to ask you, it's the nature of what I do. I just have to know, why do you love your job? He said, Mr. Sinek, at the Four Seasons, when a manager walks by me, they don't look to see what I'm doing wrong or look to see what, to get me in trouble. They look to see how they can help me. And they say things like, Noah, what can I do to make sure that you're successful today? He said, Mr. Sinek, I also work at the Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. He said, at the Caesars Palace, I sit in the corner and keep my head down and try to stay out of trouble because there, the managers just try to wait and see if you screw up. Same resource, different leaders.
So maybe he ought to work as well at Caesars as
come on. This big build, the climate was perfect.
Hey,
and
okay.
You swing and miss.
No, you make a good point. But let me ask you a question. I mean, surely there's some old school boomer managers out there who are throwing things at the screen right now. Let me ask you this. If millennials or any employees did their jobs and did them well and were productive and all that, then why would you need micromanagers? Aren't micromanagers only necessary when people aren't doing their jobs well and they're screwing it up and they don't care and they're not paying attention to detail?
Oh man, my micromanaging father is coming out. Look, so first of all,
I'm just asking a question.
First of all, there wouldn't be any boomers throwing things at the screen. They probably kicked their cord out and their computer died a long time ago. So that's neither here nor there.
That was low, son, even for you.
If you have this idea of control, and again, this is the Taylorian management. Remember, these, the boomers and the traditionalists before them, the silence, they saw this behavior modeled. They were never taught leadership skills, so they simply modeled what they saw. So it doesn't matter if you are a rock star performer or you're really, really struggling. If you're being micromanaged and told every single aspect of what you want, of what you have to do, that's a huge turnoff to any generation, but especially our millennials who have never, ever, ever not been able to do whatever they want to do or have not been the center of attention. So, Pops, your point is well taken. If I'm doing my job, fine, I won't be micromanaged. But you and I both know there are high-performing organizations out there with leaders that manage great high-performing people that run them off because they micromanage.
Well, absolutely right. But there's also been some very large companies, son, that have experimented with self-governing teams that manage themselves and all that.
But self-governing teams isn't that's not the same.
No, but it's operating without a leader, right? So,
but it's not a lack of leadership problem.
But you need a leader.
It's a trying to control me problem.
No, if you do your job, I wouldn't need to control you.
No. You're not saying here's your objective, here's your expectations, here's your goal, go forth. You're saying you have to sit here, you have to show up, you have to do it this way. You have to. Talk about stifling creativity, engagement, excitement. This is driving me nuts. The fact that we've been having to have this dialogue. I'm gonna get on Twitter.
You're gonna tweet about it.
I'm tweeting.
Well, look. Here's the thing. They're somewhere in the middle. Yeah, here's what I have always found is that high performing employees, when they're the employee, they say around the water cooler to themselves over lunch, or, they tell their spouses or whatever, I just wish my boss would let me do my job. I just wish my boss would let me make some decisions. I just wish the boss would trust me.
Get out of the way.
And then those same people become managers. And within 3 months, they're saying, oh my gosh, you just can't find good people. Oh my gosh, these people don't do what
now we're getting to the good stuff.
Oh my gosh. Why can't people work as hard as I worked? Because I didn't need that micromanagement. Now I understand why they need it, because they're terrible. So what's the real problem?
The leader. It's fundamentally, you just said it. You just said the answer. I see this habit. It drives me crazy. Then I get promoted because I'm good at my old job. So I get promoted to my new job. And what do? I immediately fall back on what I know and I'm comfortable with. And what is that? Micromanaging. I mean, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's an absolute train wreck, and we can't get out of it because we're never taught how to lead.
All right,
we only model management.
All right, Captain Millennial, then tell me this. How do you deal with these little cupcakes when they don't do their jobs well?
Oh,
do you just say, oh, I'm so sorry. Here's a trophy. Try again.
Now, to all our regular watchers and listeners of the show, I know that you are sitting there going, man, is the Pop sitting on something? Like, what is going on with him? Just want you to know, he's just, this is a topic that excites him. So
and Pops gets tired of getting beat up every week. So I'm trying to fight back.
Here's the answer. If you just be quiet and let me talk for a change.
All right. Yeah,
here's the answer.
Manage away.
Hold on, I need to go binge watch some Netflix. Here's the answer. If you have whether millennial, boomer, X, doesn't matter. What we're kind of calling the younger and the older. It doesn't matter what you have working for you. If they are not performing, you have to step back and look at yourself in the mirror. You acquired them, you hired them, you trained them, you manage their performance on a daily basis. If they aren't reaching their goals, whose problem is it? Okay? If you aren't doing a good job of sitting down with them, setting expectations, and being very, very clear what you expect from a performance perspective, answering the question, what does success look like? How is it your person's fault? Look, there are great people coming out every single day, going to work for crappy managers, I almost said a bad word, and they are leaving that company because of their crappy managers. Okay? If you sit down, you set great expectations, you encourage, we talk about the Pygmalion effect all the time. You implore them that they are going to be successful, and you give them the tools and enable them, not manage their every move, then they will be successful. Mike, I need to drop something. Mic drop moment.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can't even begin to point out everything that's wrong with your mic drop statement. But I'll try.
Because it's perfect.
Because it's perfect. I can't even, there's no retort to that. No, well, there are lots of problems because seriously, you hire someone and they come in and they don't like the way things are done, and they don't like that they have to be there at 8 o'clock, and they don't like that they have to turn out a certain amount of
Did you not know that?
Well, hey, Earth to Robby, this is going to shock you, but some people actually mislead you during the interview process because they want a job.
Then how can you turn around and whine and moan about the person you hired?
Oh, because they misled me and they lied to me, and now I got an underperformer. But I do want to thank you because I did get the answer. What you're telling me is fire them and start over.
If you
that's going to make HR people really happy, all this turnover now.
If you hired the wrong person,
I'm going to be firing people every week.
Yeah, look, you are a train wreck today.
No, we are. No, you're exactly right. You know, there are things that boomer managers do that anybody, much less a millennials are not willing to tolerate it. And a lot of boomers and Gen X's are, because they've sort of been raised in that environment that you don't upset the apple cart and you don't talk back and what they do is they just leave. Right. So there are a lot of things.
Yeah, the boomer and X, they don't leave. They sit there and they're miserable for 35 years. How many companies have you worked with?
No, but no, the millennials and some X's.
Yeah, the millennials are out. The boomers and X's sit there and stay miserable and again, make everything worse for everyone because then they're the crappy micromanager.
I don't know.
Miserable.
I don't know how many times you and I have sit down and talked with millennials and just said, my boss is just a jerk. I mean, and so we go, okay, so clearly the boss must be, a screamer. They must embarrass you in public. They must, be demeaning. And really what they're saying is the boss never tells me how I'm doing. The boss doesn't communicate with me at all. I'm told exactly what to do, and there's no other way to do it. And so I'm more of a robot than a real person. And I don't feel like I have the opportunity to grow and develop and become a productive employee. I'm more like a chess piece on a board, right? And absolutely
on a checkerboard, though.
On a checkerboard. Absolutely, that's a boomer problem. It's a leadership gap that exists. It's more like a chasm. It's not a gap, because people are absolutely, swing back all the way around to your original context. Absolutely, most people have never learned how to actually lead people, so they check down to what they've seen and experienced, and there are some things that they truly hate. And the first one is micromanagement. Well, I don't know if anybody, millennial, boomer, I don't know if anybody likes micromanagement.
But X's and boomers are more apt to do it because that's the way it's always been.
But they don't like it.
But they'll put up with it, but millennials won't. Look, and I'm not saying that micromanagement doesn't come naturally, right? I mean, think about this, Pops. I promote my highest performer. So when they become the manager, isn't it logical in their mind that I was promoted because I'm the best, my numbers were the highest, my throughput was the best, my safety rating was the best, whatever. So of course we should do it my way.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that it isn't logical and that it doesn't, and that it sometimes works. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying if you want to run off your great millennial talent, micromanage them. And then you can yell and scream to your son or daughter, whoever, and yell about snowflakes and fine, but you're the problem.
Okay. Hang on. Devil's advocate. Steve Jobs was a notorious micromanaging, tyrannical, dictatorial screamer. Okay. Why could he get away with it?
Well, but he wasn't on people. He was on quality and on design. And I think that's different. I mean, look, you talk to Ivy and some of these other guys that were there. I mean, I got to know Randall Stevenson when I was in college. He's the CEO of AT&T now. And Jobs demanded perfection, and he had very, very high quality standards on design. Now, Apple had incredibly high turnover at the time. It was not a good place to work, but they put out a good product. Again, the product was the answer and was made good. And if you read Jobs' book, if you talk to people that knew Jobs, he definitely changed his style as he got
time.
Yeah.
And the results were clearly early on. They had tons of turnover, but
he got kicked out of his own company. I mean,
So here's my question for you: Can you be a highly demanding boss and still be an effective leader?
Absolutely. And I said this before. I mean, you can, there's two different things here. Number one is, I'm not saying that as a micromanager, you can't be effective, right? We know they can be.
You just get what you get, right?
I'm saying that your disengagement is going to be high, your culture is going to be crap, and you're not going to be able to maintain talent. Can you be demanding and firm and be a great leader? Absolutely. But you have to do it the right way. And you can be demanding and set the bar way up here. As long as you set that expectation, you enable your people to be successful. You give them the tools they need, give them the face time they crave. Then yes, you can be that. Absolutely. I mean, you are a poster child for that. You are demanding. You hold the bar high, but you also listen. You provide feedback. I think it's absolutely doable.
All right. So you cream puffs, you hate micromanagement. We've beat that one to death. I get it. We need to make some changes there. But you said there were 3. So what are the other 2?
Well, I've clearly already, it's like Robby 1, Kelly 0, but we'll keep going. The number two thing that drives millennials crazy, all of my people that turn them up, turn your I don't know what they're called. What hearing aid. Hearing aid. There it was. That's like a Reader's Digest term. Number 2, when you don't provide feedback or give FaceTime to your people, right? So for me, if I'm working in an organization, I want to know how I'm doing on a regular basis, and I want that face-to-face touch and that feel, knowing that I'm doing that well. Now, our boomer leaders hate it. They're terrible at it. Like, well, my boss never sat down and talked to me, so why should I do that for you?
So you need us to hold your little hands.
Nope.
And make you feel bad.
Nope.
What?
I don't know. Maybe I'm not being clear. Again, turn up your volume there, Pops. When you don't provide performance feedback and you don't take the time one-on-one to spend time with me, so
how often?
Valued.
So how often? How often do you do it then?
We recommend, obviously, you and I teach this. This is something that you pioneered in 2008 with the one-on-one meeting. We recommend it once a week, but you have to engage at least, in my opinion, twice a month in order to actually maintain that feeling of engagement and connection. Leadership is relational.
Yeah.
If you don't do that with your people, they will check out. And millennials, we want to feel like we're adding value. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is the biggest fallacy. There's like, well, these millennials these days, they won't do anything. They just want to come in and be the boss and snowflakes and cream puffs or whatever you say. I tune out. The point is, we will pay our dues and we will grind and hustle and all those cheesy words you love to use. We will do that if we feel like we are valued. Okay. That is a key human thing. And
hang on. How come all my words are cheesy and your words are not?
It's because you're old. Like in 30 or 40 years, my words will be cheesy.
Okay, fair enough.
It is what it is.
No, exactly right. And one thing we need to stress to boomer managers is the whole concept of feedback that Robbie's talking about is not sitting down and talking at your direct report and telling them everything they're doing wrong and giving them that kind of feedback. Right. Clearly, they are interested in real performance feedback that'll enable them to get better. But trust us when we say that dialogue is going to be far more effective when it's a real conversation and when you really do care about your employee. You know, Robbie and I spend a lot of time in these shows, beating up the stereotypes of, boomer and millennial and all that. And the fact of the matter is, they're just different, right? And my generation was different when we rolled in, when the greatest generation was trying to manage us. I'm sure they felt like we were, real.
Yeah, but the difference is because of the way we were raised, we won't, as you know, we won't put up with it. I mean, we'll leave, and that's the real problem. Related to this, number 3, Pops, you need to write this one down, underline it.
Got it.
You don't give us recognition. You don't recognize our greatness. Okay. I'm looking right at this camera. I'm looking at you. I mean, I'm looking right at you. No, not getting recognition. And, we talked last week about expectations around raises and things like that. If you are giving your people, oh jeez,
I'm throwing out some recognition on Twitter.
He's gonna break his phone. Someone take it away.
I did a face plant right there.
Yes.
Okay, good.
This is what I deal with.
Okay, good.
That not getting recognition. I mean, people, that motivation, that way of driving people, providing recognition, and it doesn't have to be call an all hands meeting and get somebody up on stage. We've actually, we know it's been proven in research that a lot of personality styles, that is like their nightmare.
Yeah,
so, knowing your people and knowing that with certain personality style, call them out in a team meeting, send them a note, pull them aside. That recognition is a motivator. It is your driving. And millennials crave that. Okay? You helicopter parents made us that way. We constantly need that support.
Let's do a timeout here. Everybody wants to be valued. Everybody wants to be.
But we want to be valued on steroids.
You guys want to be valued on steroids, but everybody wants to be valued. And hey, boomer managers, let me give you a clue. You know what that costs you? You know what it costs you to make somebly feel valued?
Let me do that calculation. Hold on. Divided by 2 plus the
run that up the computer.
0. That's
carry the 0. Yeah, 0.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing.
Hold on. Whoa, Riggs, hold on. You don't know how busy I am. I work 65-hour weeks. I'm in meetings back to back to back to back. When am I going to provide recognition? You little snowflakes, you creep ups. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Your lack of recognition, your micromanagement, and your inability to provide feedback is costing you a ton of money. It's called turnover. Look it up.
Everybody see what I just did? That was inception. I planted those ideas.
Planted that in my mind.
And then he brought it out. Boom. That's how it's done.
Now, what we need to do in the future is we need to do a show about the 3 things that boomers hate about millennials. Can we do that show?
I'm in. I'm in for that. Now listen, there's a good quote that we pulled up. This is actually from Gallup. Millennials have grown up in an era of remarkable connectedness.
Yep.
They're used to receiving instantaneous feedback, Pops. That's
right.
in the form of likes on Facebook. You double tap on Instagram, get that heart, right? Makes you feel good. From parents, teachers, peers. They've grown accustomed to having the immediate ability to ask questions, share opinions, and provide commentary. Then we come into the workplace and you say, sit down, shut up, be in the corner, and in 1 year I'll give you feedback on your performance. Not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. In fact, here's another quote from one of the articles we were looking at. By the way, you can find all these down below this video. You'll see all of our reference material. Thanks to unpleasant stereotypes about millennials, read, entitled, spoiled, and helpless, some workplaces feel the need to, I love this word, proctor their millennial employees. Unsurprisingly, millennials are just as capable of creating quality work as their predecessors. Hold the phone. I didn't think that was true. Hang on. I got
better work, higher quality. I think there's
and it can be aggravating to have your hand held by a distrustful boss. Look, this is just This is human nature 101, people. I mean,
Right.
you don't want to work in a vacuum. You don't want to work in a cubicle. You don't want to not be valued. Everybody's this way. But Robbie's all over it when he says, my generation was just conditioned that way. You did it. You snapped a salute and said, yes, sir, and did what you were
Right.
told.
Right.
Millennials are not going to do that.
Nope.
They are going to work somewhere else, which means you have one of two choices. You can pay me now or you can pay me later. But
And a lot more later. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be expensive, and you can sit and lament the fact that they won't change, but guess what? They're not going to change. The question is, are you going to change and make your organization better, or are you going to just bleed your way out to irrelevancy?
That's, so many things I want to say right now. I'm biting my tongue.
It is what it is. Hey, this is Encounter Mentors. You can find us, by the way, countermentors.com. Follow Robbie at Robbie Riggs. Follow the Pops at Kelly Riggs. And follow the show, yes, you should, at Counter Mentors. We do it every couple of weeks. This is number 18, 3 things that millennials hate about managers. The final word, son.
I think it's really simple. I think millennials need to be respectful and open in providing this feedback. Need to not hide behind it. Don't go piss and moan at the coffee bar. Go have a conversation with your leader and talk about how you can make it better. And to my boomers out there, you have to 180 transform your behavior or you will become irrelevant.
Absolutely. Hey, millennials, when you go get that job, don't take any job. Find a job in which the boss, the person you're going to work for, is somebody that you do connect with and gets it. And you can find out by having a conversation. Resist the urge to take the first job just because they offer. Find the one that works. And hey, boomers, if you want better talent, if you want to keep them around longer and lower your turnover numbers, learn how to be a better leader. Little feedback, little recognition. And hey, how about you train your people instead of micromanage?
Get out of the way.
Good idea. Hey, that's going to do it. The music says we're out of here, Robbie. Next time, number 19?
19.
Really looking forward to our next one. We'll keep it a surprise because I might get to win an argument. Well, okay, probably not. But anyway, we're going to take a run at it. It's Counter Mentors. We do it every time. See us at countermentors.com. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Counter Mentors with Kelly and Robby Riggs. The show airs every Monday at 4 p.m. Central. Watch the show live on Blab or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. For more information about the show, to listen to past shows, or to learn more about how Kelly and Robby teach companies the counter-mentoring process, visit countermentors.com. The Counter Mentors Show is presented by One-on-One Media, Incorporated. All rights reserved. Opinions expressed by guests on the show may not be the opinions of One-on-One Media or the host of the Counter Mentors Show.